Why is this? This is not what the intent was. I had already. Sure. But anyway, good morning, guys. Good morning. Morning, everyone. Hope everybody having a great, what is it, Thursday morning? Yeah, I hope everybody having a great Thursday morning. I know that where my usual location, it's probably 8:30 now, but my current location it's like 5:30. So I am on time, but y'all are a little late. I'm just kidding. Well, come along with us, guys. We're going to do our morning reading. Welcome into the live, everybody. Thank you all so much for coming. This is our everyday thing, our morning live in which we come and read the Bible. Now, let me say this: we do not endorse any particular religion or denomination. Over here, what we simply do is we are trying to read the Bible for ourselves, making the connections. Because after all our lives we have been told what is in the Bible. We are convinced that we are taught biblical scriptures, which is supposed to guide our lives into the right direction to help us to be the best human beings that we can be. And certainly, that is true. Because if you follow what the Bible says in terms of character building, you will not go wrong. You cannot go wrong. However, if you read the Bible and read the stories in the Bible and understand them as they were written for you to understand, you will realize that there are things in the Bible that are not relevant for today. You will also understand when the Bible speaks, you have to know who it was that was speaking those words, to whom those words were spoken, and what the context under which those words were spoken. Because as it is, I am reading the Bible and I consider to myself to be intellectual enough to be able to read and understand, but my golly, reading and understanding the Bible is a heck of a challenge, I will tell you. Because they are missing pieces, first of all. And the Bible itself tells you that they are missing pieces, because it tells you about additional information that's written in books that are not in the Bible. It tells you of the account of different individuals about certain events, and those accounts were omitted from the compilation of the Bible. So don't get intimidated when you hear people raging and carrying on about you are on when you try to express how you feel about the Bible. There are some people who get into a tizzy fit when somebody says they don't understand the Bible, they don't think it is, they have to follow it, they think that it is confusing. People say simple things like that, and other people go into a kissy fit. Oh, the Bible is the word of God. And you want it to. Come on, people. Come on. Come on. We know. We know. We know what we know when we read the Bible. Don't tell me that every word in the Bible is the word of God, because it's not true. That is not true. And when somebody say that, like somebody inboxed me on TikTok to remind me, according to him, I remind me that every word in the Bible is from the word of God. And I realized in lacking. He's very lacking. So all I ask him to do is go and read the Bible for yourself. And when you have read the Bible for yourself, you can come back, because it would be vain for me right now to hold a conversation with you about what is written in the Bible. Because clearly you ain't read it. If you go and tell me that every word in the Bible is the word of God. But anyway, it is because of incidents like these why I have taken on this challenge to read the Bible for myself from the beginning to the end. And it is my absolute pleasure to share that experience with you all. Right? At this moment, we are on the book of Isaiah. And Isaiah the prophet prophesied a lot of things. Isaiah spoke about wars between the Zionists. You know, the Zionists are those who are for the establishment of a state of Israel. Isaiah spoke about that. Isaiah spoke about Egypt. Isaiah spoke about the enemy causing the blood of Israel to flow like a river. We have seen that happen over and over. And in the last few weeks, we have also seen where that seemed to have come to pass in a much grander fashion than any other time in history. And so it makes us ask the question, is it that the prophecy of Isaiah is being fulfilled? Or is it that these instances are going to continue to happen over time until whenever? Either way, this war, I don't think, is ever going to end. I don't think this war that's happening in the Middle East is ever going to end. Tell me one time in your lifetime that you have not heard of wars going on down there. Ever since I've been around, ever since I have known myself, there have been wars taking place down in the Middle East, and it's always wars over land. And now that I've read the Bible and understood it for myself, where this war originated from, and also after having read historic books and discovered where exactly this war originated from, I understand a little better. Because before, I probably just say what somebody else says, just parroting something that somebody else says. But now that I have the facts, I can put two and two together and say, okay. So that makes sense now. So now I can have an informed conversation with somebody regarding what is going on down there. Because we have read where the children of Israel, I don't think they ever found their promised land, did they? Come on, people, talk to me. From what we have read, did the children of Israel ever find their promised land? I doubt it. I don't think so based on what I have read. Why I say I don't think they have found their promised land is because I have not read where they found a land that was unoccupied. and were led to now occupy this land as the original occupants of this land. I have not read it yet. What I have read, however, is that they have come upon lands that they thought seemed suitable for them. They have slain the people who have been living on this land, on these parcels of lands. They slew the people and have taken the lands for themselves. And because there were so many of them and they were so brutal in their endeavors, they were able to be successful in slaying these people and taking their lands and taking the spoils meaning just about anything that was of value on the land, calling it theirs, their rulers distributing the land amongst them and just building their community down in the region. And it went on until David had a vast empire down there, lots of land, and the Israelites were spread out all around. And they had all these enemies around them, the Philistines, the Arabs, the Syrians, the Lebanese, the Egyptians, the Ethiopians. They had all these enemies around them because it's almost like they came in like a wrecking ball and they just slaughtered everybody, took land after land. And on me say it, people, when some is here, when someone stop, happy Thursday to you, my love. It's the day before my birthday and I am and today, how are you doing, my love? Good morning to you. Andrea says, so they are squatters. Well, according to the Bible says Moses told the children of Israel that he was taking them to a land that was promised to them by their God. They traveled through the wilderness. They exited the wilderness. When they came out of the wilderness on the east of the River Jordan, they took over that parcel of land. They slew the people. They took it. Moses gave it. Moses said it was a land that was good for cattle. And since Reuben had the most cattle of them all, he gave that parcel of land to Reuben, Dan, and half a tribe of Manasseh. All right. Then they went across the River Jordan into Jericho. They slew everybody. Moses wasn't there at that time because Moses by this time had died. But Joshua led them across and they slew everybody and they took everything. They went on to the other countries around, the other dynasties. They slew the kids, they slew the people, they took everything. They moved further north, they spread out. The Bible said they spread out in the region. So they went north, west, east, south, everywhere. And they just continued slaying people and taking the land until they had a vast dynasty down there. And this caused them to have a lot of hatred, a lot of enemies. Okay? The story went on to the fall of Israel. First, the kingdom was divided, where Rehoboam and Jeroboam, the kingdom continued to be divided. The Israelites continued to move away from their tradition, going to faraway lands and all over the place, moving far away. And little by little, the kings that come into Jerusalem started selling land, the people moving away. So bit by bit, this whole vast dynasty that the Israelites had started to dwindle, becoming smaller and smaller. And the smaller their kingdom became, the larger the kingdoms of their surrounding enemies became. And the easier of a target they were. By the time their enemies were able to bring them to a level where they were manageable, where they could manage them, they knocked down the walls of Jerusalem. They didn't have much opposition because there was not enough people there to fight for Israel. Them knock down the walls of Jerusalem. They drive out the people. The two little Jews that were left living there, they were of no threat, no consequence. So they didn't worry about them. And so now the region is taken over by the people, the same people who the Israelites would have called the enemies. And so these people are now ruling. We saw where this rule continues. When Nehemiah went to go rebuild Jerusalem, we saw the opposition that he got from the Syrians, the Lebanese, the Arabs, everybody around. We saw the opposition that he got and the war that ensued because of that. When King Ahasuerus was ruling over that vast region all the way through India, through Ethiopia, all of that area. When King Ahasuerus was ruling, remember at that time, the Jews were still scattered. They still didn't have a place to call home. They still didn't have anywhere. And everybody hated them because remember, Esther, it was because of Esther. For those of you who don't know, go back and read the book of Esther. When Haman got the seal from King Ahasuerus to destroy all the Jews, it was because of Esther and Mordecai. We know how that went, that the Jews were spared. But they were considered now to be a minority people. They were just a little pocket of them, scattered, sprinkled all over, but there was no cohesion among them. They did not have their religion was not established broadly at that time because everything had been dismantled. And the rulers in that region made sure the Jews had to worship in private. Everybody else could have a temple, a synagogue, or whatever, but they couldn't because of the people around were so afraid of the Jews reestablishing themselves. And so, see, it stayed like that for years and years and years. And then boom, 1948. And the rulers of the world went down there and separate Palestine in two to give Israel a home, to give the Jews a home for themselves. And from then on, this war has started. And this war is not going to end. Mark my word. But anyway, when some said, Shagwa market, I thought I go no market open on Thursday when some. I think a Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday market open. So Andrea says so this is karma on their bloodline. Well, they have been hated from the beginning. They have been hated from the beginning. It's not a new hate. It's not a new hate towards that group of people. It is something that has come from back in Bible days. And let me tell you, say hate is something that if you feed it, it will grow into a monster. Just like love is something, if you feed it, it will grow into a great loving, won't be a monster, but the monstrosity of the love will be that big. It is what you feel. Like I told you on the story yesterday of the father who told the son about the two wolves that's inside fighting. One's the good wolf and one's the bad wolf. And the son asked the dad which one wins. And the dad says the one that you feed. And that cannot be truer. You feed love inside of you, love will grow. You feed hate inside of you, hate will grow and flourish inside of you. Pick your poison. All right. And with that, we're going to start the reading for this morning of Isaiah chapter 36. So get your book Bible or your Google Bible, my friends, and let us read together. Isaiah chapter 36 says, Now it came to pass in the 14th year of King Hezekiah. Now remember, guys, that King Hezekiah was a ruler over Jerusalem. King Hezekiah, though, came over 1,000 years after King David, because King Hezekiah came from the line of David, but he came maybe like 13 kings after David. So he came a long time after King David. But let's read what was happening then. It says, it came to pass in the 14th year of King Hezekiah that Sennacherib, the king of Assyria, came up against all the defense cities of Judah and took them. Want me to hear that, The king of Assyria, Sennacherib, came up against Judah, as against Israel, and he took the kingdom. All right, let us continue. And the king of Assyria sent Rabshakeh from Lachish to Jerusalem unto King Hezekiah with a great army. And he stood by the conduit of the upper pool in the highway of the fuller's field. Then came forth unto him Eliakim, Hilkiah's son. We read about this. We read about this before. Now, this is almost like a repeat of what we read in earlier in the Bible. But we're reading it again. Let us read. Who's that? AG, what's up? How are you doing? Verse 3 says, Then came forth unto him Eliakim, Hilkiah's son, which was over the house, and Shebna the scribe, and Joah, Asaph's son, the recorder. Asaph was the one who was the ruler of the forest. He was the one who was responsible for the trees. Remember when Nehemiah was coming to Jerusalem to rebuild? King Artaxerxes had told him, they had given him a letter to give to Asaph, for Asaph to give him all the cedar and the timber and whatever other wood that he would need for the rebuilding. Kingdom War, them said that's the last war on the land. You think? Verse 4, let's move on. Verse 4 says, And Rabshakeh said unto them, Say ye now to Hezekiah, Thus saith the great king. You know who we call him the great king? He's calling Sennacherib the great king, the king of Assyria. And Rabshakeh said unto them, Say ye now to Hezekiah, Thus saith the great king, the king of Assyria, What confidence is this wherein thou trustest? I say, sayest thou, but they are but vain words. I have counsel and strength for war. Now on whom dost thou trust, that thou rebellest against me? Lo, thou trustest in the staff of this broken reed, on Egypt, whereon if a man lean, it will go into his hand, and pierce it. So is Pharaoh king of Egypt to all that trust in him. But if thou say to me, We trust in the Lord our God, is it not he whose high places and whose altars Hezekiah hath taken away? Really? You hear that? I hear that. and said to Judah and to Jerusalem, ye shall worship before this altar. So now you hear they are saying, wasn't it theirs? That it was theirs, their kingdom that Hezekiah took away. And now he's calling the Jews to come worship there. So you see all that enmity that is building up, all that animosity toward Hezekiah, the reigning king in Jerusalem. Now therefore give pledges, I pray thee, to my master, the king of Assyria, and I will give thee 2,000 horses. You hear that? He's calling them to come pledge to King Sennacherib in Assyria that they are going to go up against Hezekiah. You hear 2,000 horses. They are getting ready for battle against Hezekiah. 2,000 horses, if thou be able on thy part to set riders upon them. Now then, how then wilt thou turn away the face of one captain of the least of my master's servants, and put thy trust on Egypt for chariots and for horsemen? And am I now come up without the Lord against this land to destroy it? The Lord said unto me, go up against this land and destroy it. After them, Lord, tell them to go up against Jerusalem and destroy it, Then said Eliakim and Shebna and Joah unto Rabshakeh, speak, I pray thee, unto thy servants. He says, speak unto thy servants in the Syrian language. To talk to them in a your language, the language that they will understand, for we understand it. And speak not to us in the Jews' language, in the ears of the people that are on the wall. So you tell them, not talk to us in the Jews' language. Make the people who are on the wall hear, because we don't want the people on the wall to know that we understand the language. But Rabshakeh said, as my master sent me to thy master and to thee to speak these words, hath he not sent me to the men that sit upon the wall, that they may eat their own dung and drink their own piss with you? In the Bible, listen. You say, I not come here for lollygag, I not come here for chit-chat, I not come here for you to tell me about which language we speak or which language we have to speak and in whose presence. And that I come here for. The king sent me here to come slay you. I'm going to eat no own doodoo and drink no own tea. That is the voice of a warrior, somebody who is determined to do as he is told. Then Rabshakeh stood and cried with a loud voice in the Jews' language, and said, hear ye the words of the great king, the king of Assyria. Thus saith the king, let not Hezekiah deceive you. You hear him telling them? He's telling them that they shouldn't listen to Hezekiah. Remember, back this time Hezekiah is the king of the Jews. And here he comes. He says, they are taking over. The king of Assyria is the one in charge of everybody and everything right now. So he's telling them, the king says, don't let Hezekiah deceive you, for he shall not be able to deliver you. So don't listen to what he's telling you to do, because when we come upon you, he will not be able to save you. So if you know what is good for you, you would abandon Hezekiah and come on over. Come serve this king. Verse 15 says, neither let Hezekiah make you trust in the Lord, saying, The Lord will surely deliver us. This city shall not be delivered into the hand of the king of Assyria. Hearken not to Hezekiah, for thus said the king of Assyria, make an agreement with me by a present, and come out to me, and eat ye every one of his vine, and every one of his fig tree, and drink ye every one the waters of his own cistern, until I come and take you away to a land like your own land, a land of corn and wine, a land of bread and vineyard. Beware lest Hezekiah, remember Rabshakeh, come in the name of the king Sennacherib of Assyria now. He comes in the name of Sennacherib, talking to the Jews, telling them, you better change allegiance. You better come over here. Let me take you to a land that is just like this land, a land full of corn and wine. You need to abandon Jerusalem, abandon Hezekiah, and come with us, because the only king whose word means anything in this place right now is the king of Assyria, Sennacherib. Beware lest Hezekiah persuade you, saying, the Lord will deliver us. Has any of the gods of the nations delivered his land out of the hand of the king of Assyria? All right, to hear that. Rabshakeh is telling the people, telling the Jews, don't listen to Hezekiah, because Hezekiah keep telling you that the Lord are going to deliver you now. Has he delivered y'all yet? From the kings around, the kings who have been persecuting you all. Have your God delivered you all yet? Where are the gods of Hamath and Arpha? Where are the gods of Savarim? And have they delivered Samaria out of my hand? Who are they among all the gods of these lands that have delivered their land out of my hand, that the Lord should deliver Jerusalem out of my hand? Want to hear that? Now he is encouraging them to doubt their faith. He said, look around. You see all the other people around here, all the other nations around here. You see any of their gods able to deliver them out of the hand of Sennacherib? Why you think your God is going to be able to deliver you out of my hand? Verse 21 says, but they held their peace and answered him not a word, for the king's commandment was saying, answer him not. That's what Hezekiah told the Jews. Answer them not. Don't say a word when they come. Don't say a word. Verse 22 said, then came Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, that was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and Joah the son of Asaph, the recorder, to Hezekiah with their clothes rent, and told him the words of Rabshakeh. Now, they were the ones sitting on the wall. They were the ones guarding Jerusalem when Rabshakeh came with his word from the king Sennacherib out of Assyria to tell them that the king Sennacherib said they shouldn't listen to Hezekiah. They should abandon Hezekiah, abandon their Jewish faith, and come with him. He further went on to tell them, look around you. You see anybody else get delivered by their God, whichever God they serve? You don't see nobody else get delivered. So how you think Hezekiah is going to be able to help you all, to deliver you all? How you think that your God is going to deliver you? And the men on the wall, namely Eliakim, Shebna, Joah, they went in to the palace and they told King Hezekiah what Rabshakeh had said. And they rent their clothes, meaning they ripped their clothes in such anger and such disgust. Let's move on to chapter 37 of the book of Isaiah. And it came to pass, when King Hezekiah heard it, that he rent his clothes and covered himself with sackcloth and went into the house of the Lord. And he sent Eliakim, who was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and the elders of the priests, covered with sackcloth, unto Isaiah the prophet, who was the son of Amos. So Isaiah did live. Somebody asked me that the other day, and I said I was not too sure, but I was going to find out whether Isaiah lived in the time, whether Isaiah lived during this time of Hezekiah. So clearly right here, Isaiah did live in the time of Hezekiah. They lived around the same time. All right. So let us continue. And he sent Eliakim, who was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and the elders of the priests, covered with sackcloth, unto Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amos. And they said unto him, Thus said Hezekiah, This day is a day of trouble, and of rebuke, and of blasphemy, for the children are come to the birth, and there is not strength to bring forth. Tisha is here. Hey, Tisha, good morning, my love. How you doing? Good to see you, my darling. It may be the Lord thy God will hear the words of Rabshakeh, whom the king of Assyria, his master, hath sent to reproach the living God, and will reprove the words which the Lord thy God hath heard. Wherefore, lift up thy prayer for the remnant that is left. So the servants of King Hezekiah came to Isaiah. And Isaiah said unto them, Thus shalt he say unto your master, Thus saith the Lord, Be not afraid of the words that thou hast heard, wherewith the servants of the king of Assyria have blasphemed me. Behold, I will send a blast upon him, and he shall hear a rumor, and return to his own land, and I will cause him to fall by the sword in his own land. So Rabshakeh returned, and found the king of Assyria warring against Libnah, for he had heard that he was departed from Lachish. And he heard say concerning Tirhakah, king of Ethiopia, He is come forth to make war with thee. And when he heard it, he sent messengers to Hezekiah, saying, Thus shall he speak to Hezekiah king of Judah, saying, Let not thy God, in whom thou trust, deceive thee, saying, Jerusalem shall not be given into the hand of the king of Assyria. Behold, thou hast heard what the king of Assyria have done to all lands by destroying them utterly, and shalt thou be delivered? All right, so let's say what I was saying was true. The king of Assyria has destroyed all the people of the lands around to ensure that his power will reign. There is no just this little pocket, this little pocket of Jews that's left in Jerusalem over which Hezekiah is now king. And even that little pocket, the king of Assyria, Sennacherib, he still wants that little piece, that little parcel. Him still wants it because he wants to ensure that the Jews are displaced totally. There is no place for them to worship. There is no synagogue, no temple, no. He wants to make sure there is nothing left that is sacred for them. Even though he has already been successful in acquiring all of the land around and ruling over all those people. And now here he's saying, behold, thou hast heard that what the king of Assyria have done to all the lands by destroying them utterly. And shall thou be delivered? You think he's going to spare you? That's exactly what he's asking. You think he's going to spare you, you little pocket of Jews that's left? No, he ain't going to spare y'all. He's coming for you all as well. Have the God of the nations delivered them, which my fathers have destroyed, as Gozan and Aran and Reseth and the children of Eden, which were in Telassar? Where is the king of Hamath and the king of Orphad and the king of the city of Sepharvaim, Henna and Ivah? And Hezekiah received the letter from the hand of the messengers, and he read it. And Hezekiah went up unto the house of the Lord and spread it before the Lord. And Hezekiah prayed unto the Lord, saying, O Lord of hosts, God of Israel, that dwelleth between the cherubims, thou art the God, even thou alone, of all the kingdoms of the earth. Thou hast made heaven and earth. Incline thine ear, O Lord, and hear. Open thine eyes, O Lord, and see, and hear all the words of Sennacherib, which are sent to reproach the living God. Of a truth, Lord, the kings of Assyria have laid waste all the nations and their countries. You hear? You are here. Here is Hezekiah praying to his God, the God of Israel. And he's saying, God, look, you see this letter that the king of Assyria, Sennacherib, have sent to me? You see how he has taken all the other nations, how he has conquered and devoured them? No, Lord, come, stand up for us in Israel. And verse 18 said, of a truth, Lord, the kings of Assyria have laid waste all the nations and their countries, and have cast their gods into the fire. For they were no gods, but the work of men's hands, wood and stone. Therefore they have destroyed them. Now therefore, O Lord our God, save us from his hand, that all the kingdoms of the earth may know that thou art the Lord, even thou only. Verse 21. Then Isaiah the son of Amos sent unto Hezekiah, saying, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, whereas thou hast prayed to me against Sennacherib, king of Assyria, this is the word which the Lord hath spoken concerning him. The virgin, the daughter of Zion, hath despised thee, and laughed thee to scorn. The daughter of Jerusalem hath shaken her head at thee? Whom hast thou reproached and blasphemed? And against whom hast thou exalted thy voice, and lifted up thine eyes on high, even against the Holy One of Jerusalem, of Israel? Joseph is Claudia's here. Welcome, good morning, Jay. Jay, you are here. What's going on? How are you doing? A blessed Thursday morning to you, my love. Verse 24 says, By thy servants hast thou reproached the Lord, and hast said, By the multitude of my chariots am I come up to the height of the mountains, to the sides of Lebanon, and I will cut down the tall cedars thereof, and the choice fir trees thereof, and I will enter into the height of his borders, and the forest of his Carmel. So guys, let's just talk a little bit. Do you see where Jerusalem is where Israel is located at the moment? Do you think the Jews chose that location, like when United Nations was determining where in the world to establish a Jewish state? Do you think it was a coincidence? It was a coincidence that it was at that particular spot that the Palestinians had been controlling at that time? I do not think it was by coincidence, because if you read the Bible and you see how when they talk about the location of the surrounding countries of Israel, Lebanon, Egypt, take a look at one of those maps. Take a look at one of those maps and you will see. Mike, what's up? How are you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you, Mike. I hope you're having a great morning. Who else is here? Welcome into the live, everybody. Thank you all. Thank you all so much for coming. I sincerely appreciate you all. All right, you all will notice that when the Bible is talking about the places that surround, I don't have no internet. Area. People need to give me some internet. All right, you will notice that Lebanon is right there. Egypt is right there. Syria is right there. That tells me that it is no coincidence. It is no coincidence where the United Nations decided to establish Israel in 1948. It is an area where, after all, the Jews had inhabited many years ago. And the only reason why it was not still occupied by the Jews is because of all the wars that had occurred over the years, and how the people around, the other nations, the Syrians and the Arabs and the others, were determined to drive the Jews out. So that spot there, that spot there, they didn't pick it out of the blue. They didn't pick it out of the blue. It was a coordinated strategy right there. Right there. So when you hear them say that the Jews were offered parts of Kenya and they refused, There are their reasons, because that area does not have a historic and religious significance to them. But that particular area where Israel is established at this present moment has historical and biblical value to the Jews. You understand? I see my darling Mika. Mika, what's up? Mika, Mika, how you doing? How are you doing? You know, so I see Mika. I don't see you go live lately. You go live, or maybe I'm not see. Maybe I'm not see. Me don't know why YouTube, when YouTube want to suppress us, them not send out to notifications. YouTube has something else, you know. We have two win some. Two is better than too many, Joe. Two is better than too many, my love. But good to see you, Mika. How mommy doing? How mama Gay doing, and the precious little babies? How they all doing? Hope everybody's having a great day, my love. Yes, guys. So that area there, I tell you, it wasn't picked out of the blue. That area there has a lot of significance, religious significance to the Jewish people. But others are not going to see it as such. But biblically, it does. So let us continue. By thy servants have thou reproached the Lord, and have said, by the multitude of my chariots am I come up to the height of the mountains, to the sides of Lebanon, and I will cut down the tall cedars thereof, and the choice fir trees thereof, and I will enter into the heights of his border, and the forest of his Carmel. I have dug and drunk water, and with the sole of my feet have I dried up all the rivers of the besieged places. Hast thou not heard long ago how I have done it, and of ancient times that I have formed it? Now have I brought it to pass that thou shouldest be to lay waste the fenced cities into ruinous heaps. Oh, all right. Mika says mommy's not feeling too good. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I hope Mama Gay feels better soon, guys. We have to add Mama Gay to our prayer list. All right, our prayer list is growing. Mama Gay, Fly Girl Georgia, Brother David. Yes, when you kneel down to pray, stand up to pray, however you pray. All right, don't forget to mention our brother and our sisters in your prayers, my friend. That's what I noticed, Trev. 2 weeks up. 2 is better than too many. 2 weeks up, they use our 2 devices. Oh boy. Let us continue, my friends. It says here, as thou not heard long ago how I have done it, and of ancient times that I have formed it, now have I brought it to pass that thou shouldest be to lay waste the fenced cities into ruinous heaps. Andrea said, what are the borders of the promised land? Andrea, as I said earlier, I am yet to identify where exactly was the promised land. And why I say this is because as I have been reading the Bible, the lands that the children of Israel have inhabited are lands that they have, from where they have displaced other people, slew them and captured it. So I have not read where they had come upon this vast piece of land that was uninhabited, and they took it and say, well, this is the land that our God had promised us. Let us now build on this land and farm this land and spread out on this land. And in my mind, that's what I was looking for. That would mean to me a true representation of the land being promised. Because if I promise you something, and I have the power to ensure that you get it, because I promised it to you. We can't promise it to you and then somebody else live there. And then I tell you what you got to do is to go there and slay these people and take it. It's as though those people are not valuable at all. Only you. Because so far, those of you who have been following the reading of the Bible, so far, the Bible, the story of the Bible, if we call it one story, the story of the Bible is about the history of the Jews. The Bible is not referring to anybody else, it's not talking to anybody else. It is not saying anybody else, come unto me, I will give you rest, etc. It is saying to the Jews, come unto me, but you all have my authority to slay everybody else who tries to attack you. It's the Jews' story. The Bible is the Jews' story. All right? God say, let me see. Exodus 23 verse 31. Make us go look what it says. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers. Genesis 23 and verse 31 says, all right. That's what we can't do without card, you know. See that song? All right. I'm gonna hear this. And I will set thy bounds from the Red Sea even unto the sea of the Philistines, and from the desert unto the river. For I will deliver the inhabitants of the land into your hand. So you see the same thing that I say. There wasn't a land yet that was uninhabited for them. So here the Bible said, their God said he's going to deliver the people of this land into the hand of the children of Israel. He's going to make the children of Israel slay them and drive them out and then inhabit the land. It says, let me read it for you all. Exodus chapter 23 and verse 31 says, and I will set thy bounds from the Red Sea even unto the sea of the Philistines, and from the desert unto the river, for I will deliver the inhabitants of the land into your hand, and thou shalt drive them out before thee. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor with their gods. They shall not dwell in thy land, lest that they make thee sin against me. For if thou serve their gods, it will surely be a snare unto thee. So the land that they claimed that they were promised, other people were there. So they had the authority of their God to drive them out, to slay them, to get rid of them by all means necessary, and then to inhabit the land. Mike say, I pray and hope that Mama Gay feels better. All right, in Jesus' name, amen. Yes, Mike. We are praying for that as well. Let us continue. Verse 21 says, then Isaiah the son of Amos sent unto Hezekiah, saying, thus saith the Lord God of Israel, whereas thou hast prayed to me against Sennacherib, king of Assyria. This is the word which the Lord has spoken concerning him. The virgin, the daughter of Zion, hath despised thee, and laughed thee to scorn. The daughter of Jerusalem hath shaken her head at thee. Whom hast thou reproached and blasphemed? And against whom hast thou exalted thy voice, and lifted up thine eyes on high? Even against the Holy One of Israel. By thy servants hast thou reproached the Lord, and hast said, by the multitude of my chariots am I come up to the height of the mountains, to the sides of Lebanon, and I will cut down the tall cedars thereof, and the choice firs thereof, and I will enter into the height of his border, and the forest of his Carmel. I have dug and drunk water, and with the sole of my feet have I dried up all the rivers of the besieged places. Hast thou not heard long ago how I have done it, and of ancient times that I have formed it? Now have I brought it to pass, that thou shouldest be to lay waste the fenced cities into ruinous heaps. God says the Philistines are a descendant of Canaan, the grandson of Noah, who was cursed. Ah, okay. So they were the ones that were driven out from that land that the children of Israel were given. Verse 27 says, therefore, their inhabitants were of small power. They were dismayed and confounded. They were as the grass of the field, and as the green herb, as the grass on the housetops, and as corn blasted before it be grown up. But I know thy abode, and thy going out, and thy coming in, and thy rage against me. Because thy rage against me, and thy tumult is come up into mine ears. Therefore will I put my hook in thy nose, and my bridle in thy lips, and I will turn thee back by the way that thou didst come. And this shall be a sign unto thee. Ye shall eat this year such as groweth of itself, and the second year that which springeth of the same, and in the third year sow ye, and reap, and plant vineyards, and eat the fruit thereof. And the remnant that is escaped of the house of Judah shall again take root downwards, and bear fruit upward. For out of Jerusalem shall go forth a remnant, and they that escape out of Mount Zion, the zeal of the Lord of hosts shall do this. Therefore, thus saith the Lord concerning the king of Assyria, he shall not come into this city, nor shoot an arrow there, nor come before it with shields, nor cast a bank against it. By the way that he came, by the same shall he return, and shall not come into this city, saith the Lord. For I will defend this city to save it for mine own sake, and for my servant David's sake. Then the angel of the Lord went forth, and smote in the camp of the Assyrians 185,000 men. And I hear that. So the Lord promised the Jews, he says, the Assyrians are coming. They are going to be plotting to destroy you. But hear me. Listen to me. They will not be able to shoot one arrow over here. They will not be able to lift up one spear over here. They are going to return the same way that they came. That's what the Lord said. And in verse 35 of Isaiah 37, it says, "For I will defend this city to save it for my own sake and for my servant David's sake." And the angel of the Lord went into the camp of the Assyrians. As remember, they were camping out to devour Israel. And they smote in the camp 185,000 of the Assyrian soldiers who were gathered round about Israel, getting ready to go slay the Jews. And when they arose early in the morning, behold, they were all dead corpses. So Sennacherib, the king of Assyria, departed and went and returned and dwelt in Nineveh. Verse 38. And it came to pass, as he was worshipping in the house of Nisroch, his god. This is Sennacherib it's talking about. As Sennacherib, he went back to dwell in Nineveh, and he was worshipping in the house of Nisroch, his god, that Adramelech and Sharezer, his son, smote him with the sword, and they escaped into the land of Armenia, and Esarhaddon, his son, reigned in his stead. Want to hear what happened to King Sennacherib, who was plotting and planning to overthrow Israel? He had gathered all his men. First, he had sent them to go confront the men who sat on the wall. And when we talk about the men who sat on the wall, those were the men who were the guards for Jerusalem. So they sat on the wall as a lookout post to see when enemies are coming. And here the king, Sennacherib of Assyria, sent his men to tell the watchmen of Jerusalem that he was coming to overthrow Jerusalem, to take it over. And they came, they delivered the word with such mockery. Them said, look around, look at all this land that King Sennacherib has acquired, chased out all the other nations around here and taken their land. And no one could stop him. Now, do you think your God will be able to stop him from overthrowing Jerusalem and taking it over? And the men said not a word, because King Hezekiah had already told them, speak not. When the enemy comes, don't say a word. Listen. It's like fall on the basket. Listen for yourself. Listen, but say not a word. And after they had left, the watchmen went and they told Hezekiah what was said to them. And Hezekiah went and consulted with his God. He consulted with Isaiah the prophet. And when King Sennacherib of Assyria was sure that he was going to overthrow Jerusalem, he sent out all his men to encamp around Jerusalem, getting ready for war. And the Lord spoke to Hezekiah that they will not be able to raise one spear, one bow, not one shield, nothing they will be able to, no weapon they will be able to advance against Jerusalem. And in the morning, when everybody woke up, all the soldiers of Sennacherib who were in the tent had died. The angel of the Lord had smote a whole 185,000 of the Assyrian soldiers that were sent to destroy Jerusalem. And King Sennacherib was so embarrassed, he was so ashamed that he went to go live in Nineveh, and his own sons slew him. We are going to move on. We are going to move on to chapter 38. And this is the last chapter. Andrea says biblically there has been so much murder, rivalry, hatred, and authority. All these poison produce fear among these nations. Exactly. There has been. I would think that when people are holding the Bible with all this reverence and saying that whatever is in the Bible, that is what you should follow and that is what you should do, you understand that those people really need some additional lessons as to what is really in the Bible. Because surely all these murders and murder rampages, nobody would expect us to follow the Bible in that instance. In that said, to be on a murderous rampage like is exposed of good people in the Bible, right? You don't expect us to do that, right? So when somebody says must follow exactly as the Bible says, you pity them, you have mercy on them, because them don't know better. I think the Bible, with all the reverence that is put forth towards the Bible, I would expect that the Bible have a lot more teachings of love and grace and understanding and compromise and more togetherness among people. You all notice that in the Bible, the only togetherness is the togetherness of the Jews. To be together, to look out for each other, to love each other. But everybody else around is considered enemy. And they are to be destroyed as the enemies that they are trying to destroy the Jews. Do you all notice that? Or is it just me? That's what I have noticed. It is not saying, okay, the Assyrians are a different people from us. Let us go shake their hands. Let us have communion with them. Let us try to get them to serve our God. You all hear that? No. It is, they are your enemy. They need to be destroyed. You are considered their enemy. I'm going to protect you from them. But every chance you get, you need to destroy them. So how is there going to be an end to tribal war and countries fighting against other countries? It's never going to end. This book is the book that everybody is following. This book has laid the groundwork. It has laid the ground rules for all of this. Because it is the same thing. You see, Russia is over there having a war with Ukraine, warring over land. All right? The war is coming up onto its second year. You can, no compromise. No compromise. Every day, men, women, and children are being killed over land. Walk on down to the Middle East. There is no peace down there. There's a war over land. Israel and Palestine is fighting over the land. Some people say the land over which the conflict is ensuing is belonging to the Palestinians. And that is because they are in tune to the modern time establishment of that particular piece of land. If you look at it as from ancient times, you will see where the Jews did occupy that area back then. They did occupy that area. And so, because that area had biblical significance and religious significance to the Jews, and all they needed was a little bit of help to reestablish themselves in the region, and they got that help from the United Nations. And they're not going to give it up, because it would be like giving up their faith. It would be like surrendering their faith and abandoning their God. I wonder if the Maccabees version of the Bible is written this way. You know something I know? You know, I always hear them say, nobody not supposed to own the Maccabee Bible. That's what they always say in Jamaica, like nobody not supposed to own the Maccabee Bible. And if you, I don't know. Teacher says we will soon reach in the New Testament. Let's see. There you go, sister. That's what I say all the time. That's why we are reading. We are not going haphazardly and reading this book here and that book there and reading all over the place. We are reading the Bible according to how it is compiled. We are going chronologically according to how it is compiled, but we have discovered that the stories in the Bible have not appeared in chronological order. But we are reading it according to how they have compiled it. All right? The people are always the casualties in these events of territorial. Exactly. It is always the people, and innocent people are the ones who always end up getting the shitty end of the stick. Innocent people always end up being the ones hurt. The concept because the colonizers abandoned it. That is true. That is true. And I don't know how much more peace talks and Camp David talks and all these things they can have that is going to cause the war to cease, because I just think that there are other nations around, just like how in the Bible it talks about the Assyrians and the Assyrians getting help from the Lebanese and the Egyptians and stuff against Israel. I believe that is what is continuing to happen right now, and I think the Palestinians are secretly getting help from maybe the Egyptians, the Lebanese, the Syrians and others to fight against Israel. That's my view. That's what I think. So I don't think this war is ever going to end. I don't think it's ever going to end. It is going to continue, because the Jews are not going to give up Israel. They're not going to, because that is theirs according to the Bible. That is their land. That is where their forefathers spoke with God, established their religion, built their temple, and worshipped their God. They're not going to give it up. But let us continue. We are moving on to Isaiah chapter 38. Now follow along with me now, guys, because I don't want them to leave here and say, Trev said this and Trev said that. But me not say, we want them to be able to identify it in the Bible and say, when we were reading the Bible this morning, this is what we came upon. All right. So let us move on to chapter 38, book of Isaiah. Follow along with me, my friends. Let's go. In those days was Hezekiah sick unto death. God says, hold on, this is interesting. God says the Antichrist is going to come in and offer a 7-year peace treaty, but then afterwards he will break it. Well, we will see. I have a cousin who told me the Bible is garbage, but he loved God. I was so vexed with him. No need to be vexed with him, my love. No need to be vexed. And I know a lot of people hear me reading the Bible and hear me making my commentary, and they're vexed too. I tell you how my friend called me, asked me if I believe in God, because she listened to me. She listened to me and she get a feeling. It is what is in the Bible. And a lot of people, out of fear, they do not want to hear it because it makes them question what it is that they really believe. It makes them question. A lot of people don't like it. They like to have to question their faith. They do not like to have to question their faith. They want to stand steadfast in their faith. And nothing is wrong with that. But when you get to understand the basis of your faith and you have questions, sometimes you feel like you want to hide from the question because you don't want to hear the answer. Yeah. But anywho, let us move right along into Isaiah chapter 38. In those days was Hezekiah sick unto death. And Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amos, came unto him and said, Thus saith the Lord, set your house in order, for thou shalt die, you shall not live. Then Hezekiah turned his face towards the wall, and he prayed unto the Lord, and said, Remember now, O Lord, I beseech thee, how I have walked before thee in truth, and with a perfect heart, and have done that which is good in thy sight. And Hezekiah wept sore. Then came the word of the Lord to Isaiah, saying, Go and say to Hezekiah, Thus saith the Lord, the God of David thy father, I have heard thy prayer, I have seen thy tears. Behold, I will add unto thy days 15 more years. How many more years? Hezekiah got 15 more years after he had cried to God. Hezekiah started ruling Jerusalem when he was 25 years old. And Hezekiah ruled Jerusalem for 29 years. Now, Hezekiah got an additional 15 years to his life when he had fallen sick. Hezekiah was sick unto death. And Isaiah came unto him and said, Listen, Hezekiah, the Lord tell me that you are sick. You're going to die. But your house is not in order. Your soul is not at peace with him. You have some things you need to clean up about your life. Yeah? And when Hezekiah heard those words, Hezekiah turned his face to the wall and he wept. He hollered, him bawl to God. Him holler and him bawl to God. And then the Lord went back to Isaiah and he said, Go and tell Hezekiah that I have heard his voice. I have heard his cries. And I am going to add another 15 years to his days. That's 15 more years of borrowed time Hezekiah get to put me house in order, you know. Verse 6 says, and I will deliver thee and this city out of the hand of the king of Assyria, and I will defend this city. And this shall be a sign unto thee from the Lord, that the Lord will do this thing that he hath spoken. Behold, I will bring again the shadow of the degrees, which is gone down in the sundial of Ahaz, 10 degrees backwards. So the sun returned 10 degrees. Verse 8, behold, I will bring again the shadow of the degrees, which is gone down in the sundial of Ahaz. Remember, Ahaz now was Hezekiah's father. Don't forget that. The sundial of Ahaz, 10 degrees backwards. So the sun returned 10 degrees, by which degrees it was gone down. The writing of Hezekiah, king of Judah, when he had been sick and was recovered of his sickness. I said, in the cutting off of my days, I shall go to the gates of the grave. I am deprived of the residue of my years. I said, I shall not see the Lord, even the Lord, in the land of the living. I shall behold man no more with the inhabitants of the world. Mine age is departed, and is removed from me as a shepherd's tent. I have cut off, like a weaver, my life. He will cut me off with pinning sickness. From day even to night wilt thou make an end of me. I reckoned till morning that, as a lion, so will he break all my bones. From day even to night wilt thou make an end of me. Like a crane or a swallow, so did I chatter. I did mourn as a dove. Mine eyes fail with looking upwards. O Lord, I am oppressed. Undertake for me, please. God says it's like daylight saving time. I wonder if that's what it is. Because the sundial, 10 degrees, went down 10 degrees. Verse 15 says, what shall I say? He hath both spoken unto me, and himself hath done it. I shall go softly all my years in the bitterness of my soul. O Lord, by these things men live, and in all these things is the life of my spirit. So wilt thou recover me and make me to live. Behold, for peace I have great bitterness, but thou hast in love to my soul delivered it from the pit of corruption. For thou hast cast all my sins behind thy back. For the grave cannot praise thee, death cannot celebrate thee. They that go down into the pit cannot hope for thy truth. The living, he shall praise thee, as I do this day. The father to the children shall make known thy truth. The Lord was ready to save me. Therefore, we will sing my songs to the stringed instruments all the days of our life in the house of the Lord. For Isaiah had said, let them take a lump of figs and lay it for a plaster upon the boil, and he shall recover. Verse 22, and this is the last verse of Isaiah chapter 38. Hezekiah also had said, what is the sign that I shall go up to the house of the Lord? Here ends the reading of Isaiah chapter 38. And this chapter here is one of the more interesting ones in the Bible. Hezekiah ended up living an additional 15 years from what he had been at the time of the illness that had befallen him, the illness that was meant to take his life. But Hezekiah got a little bit of reprieve from the Lord because his house wasn't in order. And when the prophet Isaiah came and told him, the Lord said, you're sick unto death. You will die. But your house is not in order. The boys that were on Hezekiah, he used the fig. He take lumps of fig and put on the boils and make it better. It got better. Hezekiah ended up living an additional 15 years. Now, when I read the Bible and I think about all these things happening, I always wonder why it doesn't seem like these, let me see how I should put it. It doesn't seem to me like the God that the people in the Bible would pray to and they would get these immediate responses. I wonder how come we don't get these immediate responses? Is it that, what is it? I don't want to speculate and say this X, Y, Z, but we don't seem to get these immediate responses. Where are the prophets? Our prophets like Isaiah, where are they? How come those prophets like those don't dwell amongst us anymore? Is it that we are forsaken? We are outcasts? We are bounded to some kind of ill will from our God? I don't know. Talk to me, people. Tell me what y'all think. Because the Bible just seems like their God was just so present. He was just so ready to be there for them. They never had to wait for an answer. They always got their answers like right away. What is it that has caused us to not get our answers right away? That's the burning question I'm going to be left with today. That's the burning question that we're going to be left with today. Why? What has changed with our generation? Because we all claim to be serving the same Jewish God. We all claim that our God is in heaven, the same God. We all talk about the 10 Commandments, that we are following the 10 Commandments and these laws of Moses. So clearly, we are serving the same God that the Jews are serving. But we say we're not Jews, right? But anyway, we are serving the same God. But we don't find him to be this present. God said the prophets today are propheting. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why they are charging for their services. So they lose their gift. Because instead of using their gift for the benefit of the people, them just a profit off it, a charge money. You could be right, because we don't see them people there around us. Anybody here has seen those people around us? Tell me, around you, you let me know. Because I don't see those prophets around here. Yeah. You go to church and them drop one sermon, and most of the time, the sermon they're talking about, they might have just pulled one story from the Bible and talk about it. And when you go back and you go read that same story and read the scripture before that story and after that story, you realize that what Pastor was saying about the story, something missing. A whole lot is missing. A whole lot is missing. Andrea said prophets are too quiet, maybe by fear. You know that you could be right, Andrea. Maybe they are fearful. Maybe they are called, but they are fearful of, I don't know, maybe fearful of the people around them, maybe fearful. I'm not sure. Andrea, Tisha said, all things are passed away and all become new. Oh, that's an interesting way to look at it. So if that be the case, then why we even follow the Bible? If all things are passed away, why? Yeah, because that would mean that we don't need to follow it, because all of these are like historic things. All of these biblical writings, their history, it passed away a long time. That's what that would mean. If you say all things are passed away, and so what you say, if you write a new Bible, that farm said we're not obedient. All that too, sister. All that too. We are not obedient, but we're no more disobedient than the children of Israel were back then when they wrote these scriptures. We're not no more disobedient than them. They were doing wrong things too. They were doing wrong things, bad things, disobeying God. Remember, every time they disobeyed God, then God punished them, make somebody take them into slavery, make somebody break down Jerusalem every time they were disobedient. So it's not like we are more disobedient than they were then. But they seek to always have communion with their God. But nowadays it seems to be so rare. It seems to be so rare to have one-on-one communication with God. I don't know. But we are going to continue. We are going to continue reading the Bible. We are going to continue to analyze these stories that are in the Bible. Because after all, we need the understanding. We need the lessons. We need to know of it for ourselves. And that's the only way we are going to know it, is by reading the Bible ourselves. Because Pastor not going to tell us. Here, even in Isaiah 38, even the sun was set back, like the dial of Ahaz. Ahaz was Hezekiah's father. Ahaz ruled before he handed over the kingdom to his son Hezekiah. Tisha said the prophet them not living right. You know, your cats them profiting. Them a make more money more than anything else. And money them a charge, money them a make. They are in this for money and nothing else. So So I guess that's why they are not having close communication with God anymore, because they have corrupted their gift. That is what I think has happened. But we are going to continue with our reading. Tomorrow, when we come back here, we are going to read Isaiah chapters 39 and a few more chapters. After that, we are going to continue the reading because we have to understand. The teacher says when we get to the New Testament, we will understand some more. And I cannot wait, my sister. I cannot wait because right now as we are reading, it is evident that the Bible is talking to the Jewish people. It is not talking to the rest of the world. The rest of the world is serving other gods, gods made out of clay and stone and wood and all that. It is talking to the Jews who serve their God that they say lives among the stars. The God who they say has to be more powerful than all the others because he made everything, which is clearly understood. I'd rather serve the person who made everything than the person who was made by someone. Fair enough? Yes. So that's where we're going to end this live course for this morning. Where I'm at is only 7 o'clock in the morning. I know it's probably like 10 o'clock for you all, but this is where we are going to end the reading this morning. When we come back tomorrow, we will continue with the reading of the Bible. We are on the book of Isaiah, for those of you who are not aware. I want to say thanks to everybody who came into the live and those who participated, those who shared out the live, invited your friends. I appreciate Ricardo and Tisha and Joseph and the farm and Winston and Andrea, Mike and Aris and everybody else who came into the live. I want to say thank you all so much. I sincerely appreciate you. That's going to be it from me for this morning, my friends. Until the next time, this is Trev from Trevessence, where your journey matters. Have yourselves a great day, everybody. Thank you, Andrea. Have a great day, my love. I'm going to make me breakfast. And I'll see you all later.